is probably
Well, your opponents are going to be Mr. Wizard and Wiz Khalifa, so you might have a little trouble.
I saw a meme today, and it was like, some guy's like, oh, every girl wants Wiz Khalifa, and The Rock chimed in. It was like, yeah, besides his wife. It was fucking great.
Who is his wife?
I don't fucking know, and I don't care.
is it the bald bitch?
Yeah, it's the
Rose.
bald bitch.
Black China.
Yeah, Black,
Yeah, Black China.
Yeah, she got a big old Black China.
Black China.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
I say just start recording and let's treat this.
I already am, so we're just going.
Yeah, we're recording this.
Just recording
All right.
this.
Well,
What were your thoughts, Sam?
fuck you. That was my thought. That was my initial thought to you saying that. Fuck you. Who's this guy? Fucking new guy.
Yeah, so you guys see that new Predator trailer that came out? Like, I just saw it yesterday.
I did not.
And it actually looks really, really good. Like, really good. I'm not joking. Like, it's just called The Predator, and it's like a prequel, or maybe not a prequel. It's like a sequel after the original ones.
The pre-sequel.
The pre-sequel.
The sequel after the pre-sequel.
It doesn't have any of the original characters or anything in it, which makes it pretty good. The plot actually looks really good. It's kind of like what they do is, like, this little kid goes through this box, and I don't know how this person has the Predator gear.
I just don't.
And
Let's unless you want to play it right now.
No, I don't want to play it right now.
Well, don't describe it.
Well, why not?
I haven't
So I
seen
can
it.
just tell you real quick. I just
I
want to tell you the
haven't seen
premises
it.
of it. He finds a fucking button, and it activates like a ship and like calls it, kind of like they did in Superman.
In Hellraiser.
Yeah, in Hellraiser.
Yeah, but in Hellraiser, you had to solve a puzzle. It was a puzzle box.
Hellraiser's the one with the guy with all the shit in his face, right? Those spikes and crap in his face.
Pinhead.
Pinhead,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the movies got progressively worse.
Yeah, the first one I remember was good when I was a kid, but I don't remember really anything after that because I think, like you said, they got worse and I didn't want to listen to them anymore. So, yeah, kill yourself.
What was that movie with Denzel Washington as the coach?
Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans. Yeah, was I thinking of Hellraiser or Remember the Titans?
I don't know. They're so close. Like, it's hard to
You
differentiate the two.
I mean, Denzel was a Hellraiser in that movie, I must admit. He was stirring up racial trouble.
He was a Hellraiser.
For
out
the
on that
good.
field, man. Yeah, for the good. It's definitely
Let me
family
clarify,
film.
hey,
We're
anybody listening, he was a good guy.
Denzel?
Yeah. Yeah, he was fighting racism.
On and off the court?
On and off the field.
The field, yeah.
Not the court, the field.
The field. And
That-
not that field.
What made you want to bring up that movie? Like, what movie? Why'd you want to talk about that movie?
Hellraiser.
Yeah, reminds you of Remember the Titans?
I think I was confusing the two. I was like, Remember the Titans and Hellraiser.
They're so different plots
What
of
are you
movies. I
talking
don't even know
about?
why that you brought that up.
Well, I mean, I'm whatever. Whatever. We can,
Yeah, another thing.
That's not even. Yeah, that's not even why we're here
No, I
today.
forgot to bring
okay?
this up to you guys, but did you guys see 2 days ago on the Google keynote where they brought up the AI stuff where now it's called Google Assistant, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you saw this?
And it ordered the haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. Like
I saw that.
everyone's talking about AI being really advanced with Alexa and all this stuff.
Hold on, he's not using a coaster.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. Just grab one over there.
That's my
There's another
coaster.
one over there behind the. You can put it on the floor. Who gives a fuck?
Let's just put it on the floor. Isn't
It
it?
doesn't matter. I don't know why you're talking
No
about
use.
the
All right.
for. All right. Anyway, long story short, we saw the Google Assistant. That's crazy. That it can call people in your background and actually do like it can like mimic your voice or do like a man or woman's voice.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There were a few situations where it was just like, was that real? Because it was like almost passing the Turing test. It was like
They said it's real. They said they've been working on it for like 5 years. They've been working on it.
Because
Yeah, they've had access to like quantum computers and shit. That shit they can run like serious algorithms or neural nets, that kind of thing.
Well, their response time with it was cool because they were like, we have like a book slot at this time, and the person was like, like making like response like a person when you couldn't tell the difference. It sounded really lifelike. You know what? When somebody brought this up and I was reading it after the fact when I was watching the keynote, some guy's like, watch in 5 years when Google Assistant's talking to a Google Assistant to get your orders and do shit for like fast food or whatever the fuck it is, right? You order something, you're talking to a Google Assistant, you're not even talking to an employee. It's going to take people's jobs doing this probably.
Oh yeah, automation. It'll be like your Google Assistant talking to the McDonald's whatever contraptoid has, you know, at the time.
It's crazy to think about,
and
man.
it'll be like the craziest part will be like when you're like
I don't think we'll be
giving
there
like signing
soon.
waivers to give control to your like personal assistant to like use your ATM card or something on your behalf and shit.
I don't think we'll be there that soon, but
I think we'll be there in our lifetime.
yeah, in our lifetime. I think in the next 5 years it'll keep getting more progressively better. But I think like our kids' lifetime is when it's going to be like one of those things where it's really used frequently.
Our kids' lifetime are going to be when it's used frequently. Are there going to be fighting in Thunderdomes? I
Hope
really
for the latter.
I think that, but yeah. So, anyways, guys, welcome back to the show. I can't believe if there's anybody still listening. I'm sorry, but here we are. Episode. What is this?
Episode 9, I think it is.
Nine. So, we were thinking today. Well, we weren't thinking today. We were thinking tomorrow, actually, but we decided to move to today. But, anyways, movie flops that turn into cult classic pops. I wanted to try something.
It worked. It was a good one.
Casey Kasem here. Welcome to today's Top 50. Tonight we're talking about movie flops that turn into cult classic pops.
Ooh, well done.
Is it Casey Kasem or is that Sam Fleer?
That's Casey Kasem. Tonight with the Top 50.
So, yeah, great intro there, Sam. Literally gave me a boner.
Same.
Fully
torqued.
That's what I do, gents.
So my movie pick,
And
I think
ladies.
I picked for this one, dude. I
Mostly
picked Dazed and
gents.
Confused, and it's definitely one of those movies that it flopped.
What'd you pick, Randy?
Dazed and Confused, and it was one of those movies that definitely flopped in theaters, and it didn't become like a cult classic till like a year after it came out because. From what I read or did some research on, it was one of those movies where they did shitty advertising with, and it had a lot of no-name actors at the time. So for the time era, like, there's Matthew McConaughey, who's a huge actor now, and Ben Affleck as well.
This was early
It
90s.
was like 93.
It was
93?
Yeah, it was 93, but it was this movie was set in the 70s, like in Texas, like Austin, Texas or something.
Right.
And nobody.
Last day of school.
Yeah, it was pretty much, the premises of it is, and there's no real plot to this, which is why it's such a good movie, which I really enjoy about it, is because it's the last day of school for the kids in middle school and high school, and you start off at the beginning. The kids are trying to get out of school, and they're not trying to not get in, like, what is it called, like hazing, where they get their ass whipped before they get into high school. It's like an initiation for the middle school
Yeah,
kids to get
so
in.
the what is it? I don't know if they're the seniors. The outgoing
it's like the
seniors.
It's the seniors.
They make wood paddles.
Yep.
Yeah, to go spank
And they do it in their
the
shop
new
class
freshman.
of all things.
Yeah, in
It's-
shop class.
which is
but it's
pretty
a
cool.
tradition. It's tradition.
Right.
It's tradition. It's a hazing
And
thing, which,
yeah, it's,
which
yeah, then
nowadays,
they
could never
hunt
happen.
down. Right. Of course not. This wouldn't happen. This didn't happen in real life. Let's be honest. This is just some fucking
I don't know,
70s
man.
movie malarkey.
But anyway, the reason I picked this movie is because it's one of those movies that really, I don't know, it's one of those movies that really hit home with me. And the reason it is probably for the simple fact that when I grew up, a lot of talking to my parents, like, there's always this cool shit they talked about. Like, they always be like, there was no real big rules. They could have the coolest cars, like these classic fucking cars they drive around and stuff. And it, like, really brings that out, like, that whole shit, like, when our parents grew up, which I really enjoy.
Well,
The nostalgia feel of, like, the original, like, stuff what they grew up and did. I guess it's the stories they used to
Well,
tell me.
because this is different than like a movie that was really released in the 70s or something that captured something like, like anything shot in the 70s. This was shot in the 90s, which was, a version of the 70s, which I don't know, man. It was just like, if you want more fully authentic, I'm not trying to say that this was a fake representation at all of the 70s, but This was the '90s interpretation, and
Yeah.
so you had a play up of like characterizations like Slater the stoner, and Jason London the quarterback. Are these characters that really like stood out as characters? Whereas like
Right.
I don't know, anything made in the '70s, it was just like truly of the '70s,
Right.
and they weren't characterizations. Like they were truly representations.
Well, it's like, that's an interesting thing about how things like date, right? Like if you watch like a movie from 1970 something, it's like it does have that feel,
That outdated feel, like it was
Yeah.
just like, but that's the era of the time. It's like that was the cool stuff at
Yeah.
the time,
So it's like you say, they're going for a certain feel of like this is 90s trying to do 70s, but like when I look at the 70s, it's like it's almost a joke of itself, its own dating and that sort of thing.
Well, because I mean, we're talking about a movie set in the '70s, but yeah, in Texas, like there was nothing to do with disco in this movie whatsoever.
Right. It was about rock. They listen to rock. Yeah.
Well, obvious
Smoked
comparison would be what was Detroit Rock City?
Yeah.
Where, yeah.
But like, see, the other thing that's really good, it's like the movie really captured for me, like you said, it's very authentic. Like the age range of the kids between like 14 and like 21 or whatever is like what they really encapsulated for me. And like, there's a lot of no-name actors, but they're really good actors at the time.
Oh, and how many actors that got great starts from here?
I mean, this is where Matthew McConaughey actually started his great career from his parts. What I found out really was funny was he only had a small role in the movie, and as the directors and people watched him, they kept giving him more and more parts in the movie, and after this, he got a lot of like job offers. But back to what I was talking about, it's like,
oh, but no, him and Matt Damon really did write Good Will Hunting.
yeah, right.
Sure. Fucking sure. Those two dipshits. Give me a break.
The good thing was I liked about it too was like watching this movie. My parents, when I watched it with them, because they're the ones that actually introduced me to the movie. They're like, yeah, this really happened in high school. My dad's like, this used to be me. Like, I used to roll in the high school. This is the kind of car I used to drive. Like, whatever.
But but like there were aspects of it that were so authentic, like the cruising,
right? The cruising,
and hanging out in cars because like
that's what they did.
Before the gas crisis,
they would be smoking a lot of weed and shit and chilling. That's what they did.
Yeah, no, they drove around drunk. Cops didn't care.
Nope.
Like that's what they did for fun. They like drove around. And would go have meetups and parties and shit.
Yeah, they go
obviously.
meet up at like Sonic or like they did in the movie.
Well, it was funny because they had the house party planned, but that got crashed because the beer got delivered early. But they recouped and met in a big field where everybody just parked their cars and like seriously there was no cop interference.
Yeah, no
I could honestly
go to a field and just fucking party.
I could see that in the '70s. I can't see that now.
Oh, no.
When you would get stormtroopered.
Yeah.
Right, you need like
you have
a
a permit
permit for the park. Yeah.
Right, yeah, but no, back then, of course, like they're just hanging out by the local water tower. I could easily see that being like any town USA. Like how many people probably did live that, have high school stories like that from the '70s.
Yeah. That's why I kind of like it because it brings back that stuff and it's kind of like a connection I have with my parents and probably the same thing with your parents who grew up in the '70s around that era too when they went to school. The other thing that's cool about it is like there is no real plot to this, so it's like it's their last day of school and they're trying to decide where to go party and like some of them are having like life decisions like what do I do after high school and like they're having like reminiscing like he's like on the football field like what do I do after
I'm
here?
not signing this stupid pledge to stay clean.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna go buy Aerosmith tickets with my burnout friends. Matt McConaughey.
That's what he says too, right? They're going to get Aerosmith tickets as they're partying all
yeah,
night.
they go to get Aerosmith tickets.
Which is cool. I mean, back then Aerosmith was the fucking shit. Like there was no like. See, the cool thing about back then too, it's like you didn't have to go to college. You can be like, well, I'm not going to play football. I'm not going to college. I can go be a construction worker and make $30 or $40 an hour and be chilling. Like there was no bullshit back then. You could do, that type of stuff. It's like you can't do that anymore.
Back then, Steven Tyler still had a real face. And it's just like crazy. I remember like being a kid and just hearing like 90s Steven Tyler living on the edge, and then you hear Dream On, and it's just like that's not the same person.
Yeah, I could have sworn the first time I heard Dream On, I was like, no way, that's fucking Aerosmith.
I shit you not.
I
The
literally-
first
Well, he
time
did a
I
lot of
heard
dr-
that,
he did
I
a-
was just like, that is not the same fucking
Yeah, apparently,
person.
I'm
like-
sure it has to do with the amount of partying and shit they did
Yeah.
back then. It probably caught up with them.
He like
eventually.
blew out his voice because he was like a
Dude, he was a
doper.
screamer.
He was like weak from all the dope and was like
Yeah.
trying to hit those highs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like little sweet.
And
Yeah.
blew his voice out.
I could definitely see that happen. But you know what? This is why I picked the movie. But yeah, it's funny because it flopped in theaters, and then after about a year of it being flopped, it came out or whatever, and then it blew up.
But could
dude.
you see this? I could see the same thing happening with like, what was I'm blanking. Dave Chappelle's stoner movie.
Half
How
Baked.
high?
Half baked. How high? Half
no,
baked.
half-
Whatever.
half
Just
baked, yeah.
anything that has any connotation of like drugging and partying. I mean, doesn't it make sense that it always does better, like in the home setting,
well, I think the
or
only-
like playing
I
it
think
like
the
this is
reason
something you
why-
play in the background of a party or something, and then think about like this was released and this went to tape back in VHS in what 93, 94, 95, like
93.
93, and it's just like so I could easily see why.
Well, so
This the movie sales outsold like the actual like theater sales because it's like this is something
Right.
you're fucking watching with your buds
Well,
at home, token and
so-
and drinking.
exactly, and I don't know if you've seen a lot of Richard Linklater's other films. Like there's a few he had done around the time, like one being Slacker, which is
I've never
similar-
seen Slack
Dude,
because I've
Slacker's a
wanted
good
to.
movie.
That's more like freeform, like avant-garde than Dazed and Confused, but like he kind of does this like day in the life pictures. Like he did that movie Boyhood that spanned like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like that's something I think he finds interesting to explore is like what a single day is like for characters or
good point.
because
This was
you know
a
it's
day.
like all
Yeah.
these characters like go through all these changes. Like some kids are running scared from bullies all day. Some kids are making friends with these like these upperclassmen, like letting them drink a beer with them or
I mean, that was cool.
Or the nerds
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
that. Remember when they got
that
Ben
was-
Affleck with the paint.
Funny.
not that when they're at the field party and the nerd group pulls up with the chick with the red hair
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Adam Goldberg's like I smell pot or something and the one guy's just like it's me motherfucker I'm smoking some marijuana you got a just the
Yeah.
hard ass guy trying to start a fucking fight
Right.
typical high school douchebag.
yeah exactly
Right.
man
But the new guy brings up a good point. Is just joking. Mitch, the main character, right? Little fun fact. Anybody knows about Dazed and Confused? This guy wasn't actually an actor when they found him for the movie. Like the director went to a coffee shop, was getting coffee in the morning, and met this kid there, and like pulled him in and asked him if he wanted to be an actor. So like that's how he got in the setup of Dazed and Confused. But regardless, he was the kid kind of, and there was two characters, right? There was Mitch, and then there was that other girl that came from the other side where they got both pulled in. They both got like accepted by the older crowd and became cool.
oh
They're,
yeah
real
because
tight.
the whole chick hazing thing Aaron
Yeah.
on your stomachs
So,
bitches
And they cover him in
I
like
made that
flour
pretty cool
and
because
eggs.
I
but
got
then
that,
they took that one under their wing.
yeah, and I feel like we got that kind of in high school, and a lot of people can relate to that because either someone that's older that brings you in with the cooler crowd, like I
Right.
had friends that did that. You have your brother's friends. You guys probably the same
Yeah,
thing,
it was
right?
my brother's friends like taught me about drinking and
Well,
you
right,
know,
but like when you went to high school, they probably introduced you to a bunch of people, and you became cooler
Exactly,
with other people, and you felt
yeah.
more accepted. Like that's what they did, right? And these other kids don't have that opportunity, which probably happens.
Well,
less
for
and
me,
less
it was the
nowadays.
strange men on the internet I met in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
that
wild
taught
times
me
back in Wild
yeah,
West for that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't be bringing that up.
Yeah, it's
actually
what a
pretty dark
breakthrough though that
memories.
you're admitting this.
I'm gonna
on.
have to
I'll bring
talk
it-
to my therapist now.
Please don't. But back what I was saying was like I liked how he did that for the role of the movie for both of them, and kind of like they brought him like in this like little like journey. The only thing I didn't like about him as acting is like every time something happened, like he always would like grab his eyes and like shake his head in the movie, and like I never noticed, but someone brought that up after we watched it like 20 times, and I want to just punch him in the
Mitch?
face. Yeah, when he goes
Yeah,
in the movie.
he has the long hair, so it's always like flopping around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But
That's
don't
just-
worry, he
that's
got
what-
his licks.
Yeah, he got his.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
But yeah,
They're just wailing on his ass.
it was it was a great movie. Definitely, you won't see like a school like that nowadays, which brings up makes me feel like, man, we missed out on something cool like back in those days. That's why I like that. It's like, man, what would have been a time to grow up back in those days? You could literally be burning one in the parking lot and just walking to school. No one's gonna fucking say shit, right? Nowadays, if you did that, you'd have like SWAT team on your ass in there and be fucking,
Right.
you know, you'd be suspended for school for the rest
Well,
of your
dude,
life.
even if we had graduated like late 90s, like 97, 98, pre-Columbine, I feel like it still would have been pretty, because like the older dudes I know who are in their like 40s graduated like 94, 95. They've told me like similar stories about high school, like how it was so lax and like.
Well, that brings up another good point is like the reason this movie hits home with a lot of people is because it's got that nostalgic feel. Everybody likes to go back to their past and talk about the funnest times, and everybody always tells you, like my parents, grandparents, anybody you talk to, your best times are when you're in your high school and you're a teenager, and then when like before you have to grow up and have a responsibility. This is stuff that you can relate to, which makes it a good movie, which is why it's a cult classic and why people enjoy it, especially our parents' age. But it's a movie for all ages, and so I think some of the things you can kind of still consider things that happen nowadays in high schools, probably not as much, but I'd say probably like 95% of the stuff doesn't happen, but there's still
Well,
shit
the
that
mailbox smashing, that's still true to form.
happens. Yeah, there's still
I'll
still
attest.
happens, yeah.
but you know, great cult classic movie. I wish there was other movies like this I could see or whatever. But yeah, I'll move on and we'll go to our next pick. And you know, what'd you choose for this, Matt?
I chose Big Trouble in Little China. Another John Carpenter film. Clearly,
Little China.
I just love him so much. But you know, so it's a movie starring Kurt Russell and a lot of like Asian dudes.
I fucking love Kurt Russell. I'm sorry I had to jump in, but Kurt Russell, we've already talked about him before. And I got
The John Carpenter, Kurt Russell dream team
Right.
here, okay?
They're really
the
good
thing.
together. But hold on, before I bring it
Escapes.
up, I think I brought it up last podcast. It's like, fuck you from remaking Overboard. You can't do it without Kurt
Yeah, I
Russell.
just saw it's with
Dude,
like
fuck
fucking
that. I'm
the
not
one
watching.
chick that was in Scary Movie is
Yeah.
like the
Anna Faris?
Anna
Yeah,
Faris.
she's
yeah,
in it. Just
yeah.
fuck off. Like,
Yeah, I finally saw like
Anna, fuck off.
a poster for it.
But yeah, keep going, man.
But
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
good.
So
Yeah.
You don't need to retell it. If you haven't seen Big Trouble, go fucking see Big Trouble.
Yeah.
right.
So,
So just like a
I'm
brief
curious,
overview.
how the fuck did this flop?
So okay, so just a little background. We'll give them a little here.
Just the taste.
You know,
just get a taste to get them hooked.
right. Just first taste is free, but so basically, it's a story involving Kurt Russell, who's like he frequents the Chinatown scene in San Francisco, and they happen upon. Well, it's his friend's girlfriend actually is an Asian girl with green eyes who this old Chinese wizard who's been cursed with like eternal life. He needs her to like break the curse. So like they get wrapped up
Green
in all
eyes.
this like Chinese magic is essentially like what happens in the film.
Yeah.
So like
Chinese hoodoo.
I mean
voodoo.
just based on that, if you think about it, like that's kind of it's not necessarily the easiest plot to sell.
No, so I mean, it wasn't just that though, because I did some more digging, like I always do, and it was another bad advertising. Like Paramount Pictures made this movie. They went through like 2 or 3 different directors and screenwriters for it because they kept them bitching and back and forth about the screenplay, whatever. They finally came to a conclusion with the third guy, whoever did it or whatever. I can't remember his name at the time.
John Carpenter.
Yeah, John Carpenter was doing it, but they had other people working with him, right? Long story
Really?
yes. Someone else
Really?
written the stories, right? Then they were mad that they're changing the story on what they written.
Oh, classic
yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, they're fucking with my masterpiece.
So anyway, the guys that wrote it still got credit, but the advertising was so bad for the movie. The only reason it blew up afterwards It's because of Kurt Russell and John Carpenter's names and stuff like that. And people,
Right.
when they watch it when they get out of theaters, are like, how did we not see this in theaters? Like, and it blew up.
Because seriously, dude, between the acting, practical effects, I don't understand.
Yeah,
For the
it's
time,
incredible.
It was awesome.
So it's like probably the
Yeah,
first time I ever
for the
caught it
time.
was like a late night Friday night movie when I was a kid, like after school one night or something. It was probably the first time I saw it. I remember just like being totally blown away at this wild and like the world building in the film is like incredible because like they start off just on the streets getting involved with these like
I thought they were gambling first.
Right.
Kurt Russell and Wang were gambling.
Right,
And he takes
so-
all his money, and then he goes to pick up his girlfriend from the airport, right?
Right,
And
and
then she
then-
gets stolen.
And then,
But-
so she gets like kidnapped at the airport, and so like they start tracking her down, and they start getting involved with like all this Chinese mysticism, like there's like the fight scene,
The yellows and reds.
yeah, they're driving
Yeah.
down the alleyway in the middle of like this like ninja dude's funeral, and like the rival ninja gang shows up to fight. It's like it's wild shit.
It's crazy. It's like they're in the
and,
warpath.
and it's just, you know what I loved about it is just like it was a true to Hollywood, just a set.
But
you
it was-
know?
the funniest part about it was-
just it was all practical effects.
I remember a part in the movie that Wang's like, yeah, this is like a place you don't want to go down. It's kind of like going to the east side St. Louis. Like, you don't want to go down here or something. At a
Yeah,
certain
well,
time.
what was his Chinese buddy's name?
Wang.
Wang, yeah.
Wang. And when I was re-looking into this movie, they were saying he's actually the main protagonist.
He's the main
He's the main character, not Kurt Russell.
But
in this.
see, but most people wouldn't know that because Kurt Russell at the time was a bigger actor,
Right.
So you wouldn't get that feel.
Yeah,
from the
because
movie.
the story definitely revolves around him going
Trying
on
to
this
get-
journey to rescue his girl.
Right.
It's him and Kurt Russell. 'Cause
And
he
Kurt-
asked him to help him, so it's kind
Kurt
of like
Russell's playing like this impression of like John Wayne the whole film.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
he's like this like
Jack Burton.
yeah, Jack Burton. He's like a man of the road. He's a trucker.
He's a loner, trucker type
but-
guy or whatever. I like when he has his own Jack Burton saying, he's like, you know what Jack Burton always says? And I'm like, who the hell is that? He's like, that's me.
Oh man.
Jack Burt.
But yeah, back to Matt's point, like it gets to that point like where they're getting ready to find his girlfriend, and then like the three fucking Raidens show up, or whatever their name is, like the magicians that all have like electricity coming out, and Lopan shows
fun
up.
fact, that's actually those characters were actually inspiration for Raiden
For
in
Raiden.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. Like like lightning.
Well, yeah,
Asian
the-
wizards. Yeah,
Big wooden the
Big- yeah,
Vietnamese
big-
hats,
big hat.
big
yeah,
hats,
The Raiden style hat.
electricity. Yeah.
But yeah, it goes on from there. I think. Remember, and they run over Lopan, and they're like, "Who the fuck is this crazy old man?" And they run him over his truck, right? And there's no one there, and he's like, crazy magic. So he goes back, and what does he find? Like, what's his name? Like Egg Chin or Egg something or whatever is the guy from Karate Kid, the old guy. And he
Right,
and he-
yeah,
and he's like,
Egg.
Egg
Yeah.
Foo,
Yeah, his name's like Egg
Egg-
Chen
Egg
or
Foo
something.
Young.
Yeah, it's like no, it's Egg Chin is his name.
Egg
Yeah,
Chin.
yeah,
And
he's
he
like the
means-
bus driver,
Yeah,
bus
they-
tour.
But then
driver.
I love it because in that scene he's giving them all that magic potion when they're climbing down that hole when they're gonna go invade,
Right, yeah.
and they all get that boost and shit. It's
they're like, they're like in an elevator
'cause
heading down.
Just
They're like,
to bounce off what you said earlier is like literally the first time I saw this movie I was younger and I was just like, what the fuck?
no,
is
because it's
this?
so wacky and weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I was just like, this
Like-
is fucking
like,
awesome.
Because it makes us see supernatural, like, Asian mysticism elements in with, like, your typical 80s action film. And so a point I don't want to miss, though, is, like, Kurt Russell, he literally does nothing the whole film. He's such a miserable failure in this movie. He's supposed to be, like, he's like, I'm the good. We mentioned, like, Wang's the real protagonist in the
And he's
film.
the fighter fighting with the swords and doing all the shit.
But yeah, Kurt Russell's like bumbling around, like getting rocks hit on his head, or trapped in like a chamber that's filling with water, or there's like
Getting
a million
rescued.
times
Yeah.
he's bumbling through the movie, but like he poses as this like hard ass.
Well,
Like
that part
you don't
always
want to mess
stuck out
with.
to me. It was like when he talks to Egg Chin, he's like, "Yeah, this is the place they would bring her," or something like that, because it's like Lopan's place. They just stumble upon some wall and it goes to an elevator, and it's like, oh, it's behind this box. It's like, what the fuck is this? Like they stumble upon a box and find a door. It was just kind of like crappy how they did like the plot of how they did that. But like you said, they fill water, then they get caught, and then they finally meet. the old guy who's like cursed. He's like looks like he's about 200 years old, and he looks like he's dying. Like from like the guy from like Tales from the Crypt comes out and talks to him.
But he still has like a spirit.
And
form
then he
that's
finds
powerful.
out Kim Cattrall has green eyes, and so he like kidnaps
Gracie
her.
Law.
And it was just like, oh, if he just would have waited, like, it's like she puts out, like, didn't have to kidnap her.
Yeah.
That's the slut from Sex and the City.
Perfect. But yeah, the funniest part to me was when they go to the fucking wedding and they got like that crazy fucking creature there, and then like I remember.
There's nothing wrong with sluts, by the way, and I didn't mean that in like a
you were
sexually
shaming a little
derogatory.
bit, yeah.
I didn't mean that in a
You're
shameful
woman
way. She was sexually precocious, and there was nothing wrong with that. And I hope I used precocious in the right context, but there's nothing wrong with sexually active women. So I said slut. Sorry. I just feel like I have to explain that. It's 2018.
Yeah.
I don't think you
I'm
have to
sorry.
in 2018. A lot of people don't care about that anymore. They care about if you don't call them the right name.
The pronouns.
The pronouns.
Yeah. It's all
I'm
about
pretty good on my
pronouns, though.
pronoun game.
Are you sure? Because you just offended me.
Yeah. Same.
See, that's what I thought.
All right.
Anyway,
All I'm saying is I didn't use sluts in a negative way.
But going back to what I was saying was like that wedding. For some, I didn't know if you guys knew this either, right? But a little fun fact too. You brought up the game Mortal Kombat. Was that part when Egg Chin fights Lo Pan with his little fucking like rock and they like duel each other and that
Yeah.
the ninja? That's where they came up with the idea of Mortal Kombat. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but I found that out online when I was looking some shit up about it.
I didn't, but
It's crazy, huh?
could you imagine being a game developer in the early '90s, where you just need like how much level of programming did you need to actually like make
In the
a
early
game,
days,
like,
you needed an extreme amount.
because it was so bare bones.
Right.
Exactly.
But if you knew what the fuck you were doing, you could throw together something like Mortal Kombat,
Mhm.
and it's just like not. I don't know.
Yeah. So what goes on from there, right? They ruin the wedding. They get the girls back. Lo Pan dies, whatever, and they go back and celebrate. Which it's a good,
And wait, hold on. How did Lo Pan die?
He takes like the blood from the girls, the green-eyed girls, and like he gets his mortality back.
Yeah, that's right.
And then so that's why I mentioned Kurt Russell does nothing the entire film until he's like it's all in the reflexes, and he flicks the knife back and hits Lo Pan in the face with the knife. That's like his saving grace of the film. Like,
That was a pretty cool part. I like that part.
yeah.
Is that like a classic like story character, like the bumbling idiot who
'Cause
comes
literally,
in and saves the day or
Well, Kurt Russell was
something?
kind of like that in a lot of movies, though. Like, if you could say that, he was like the guy that was like the bumbling idiot, but funny, and people like really enjoyed him.
I wouldn't call him a bum. I would say he was funny and enjoyable, but I wouldn't call him a bumbling idiot in a lot of his movies.
Well, not all of his movies. Let's just say his role, the way he plays that in a lot of movies.
Well, it's like Overboard. He was kind of like a bumbling slob.
Okay,
dude.
Overboard. I'll
he
give
was a
you
carpenter,
that.
but I mean, he wasn't really that bad. But yeah, he does do that kind of like funny type feel. Like he's got a funny way he does his acting, and I think it like a lot of people like attach to it and like it. That I
They
don't know.
fucking love
Well,
it
it's
in the
like-
80s and 90s, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
dude, I just like
Except
I
on this
seriously
one in the
love the
box
fact
office.
that Kurt he's such like he talks such a hard game, like he's the toughest guy, but I say the next time you watch that, pay attention specifically to how little Kurt Russell gets done. How,
You know the weird thing
how
is,
little work he
though,
does.
Every time I
Good
watch that
point.
movie, my main focus is always watching Kurt Russell, and I've never noticed that. Now that you say it, it really stands out to me. That's really funny because I was like, man, he's the main character, but he's always like the one shouting stuff and saying stuff and doing stuff, and you can't really. I guess he overshadows
Good
the main character.
John Wayne comparison.
Yeah, because
Like
he
Jack
it's
Burton always says, he
right.
almost
He
even
has that cadence
the,
almost. Yeah. Like he's doing it like bad on purpose though, in a way. Is how I take it. Like
Maybe like stylizing it.
like
to
stylizing
his-
like a John Wayne as Jack Burton.
I mean, what kind of movie could you compare that to nowadays with someone that does that does the comparison where they are like not the main character, but they steal the movie? As,
like Transformers or Pacific Rim or BattleBots or anything with big giant robots, I'd say.
take over as the main character. I guess you're right. I
Yeah,
mean,
you know,
a little bit.
Well, okay.
I know.
Well, it's like, I mean, in a way, you could almost argue that, like Pacific Rim, like fuck the people who pilot them. It's like all about the big robots.
the Jaegers.
But going back to what we were saying earlier, another movie I could compare Dazed and Confused to, I couldn't think of one, was American Pie when growing up with us. High
Right.
school movie, friends hanging out, banging the hot girl, going to a party. Not the same type of but the same concept, like just a nostalgic feel of being in high school and the cool shit they did. This one they actually had a plot. Dazed and Confused.
Holy schmoly! Just think about the early 2000s and how many like college-aged movies
Came
they
out.
were
I
really
also
going
think
for like the
about how
18
long
to
ago
24
that was.
year-old male demographic,
Right.
like
Because it
Road
was heavy.
Trip, like you name,
Road
like how
Trip.
many movies came out one after the
Not
next?
another teen movie.
Not another
at
teen
a
movie.
certain
Seriously,
point.
What's the movie with Ryan Reynolds when he's in college and he takes over? He's like
Van Wilder?
Van Wilder.
That's a good
just
movie.
and any excuse to make a college movie where some chick shows her tits.
Well, I
Right.
mean, but that brings up a good point. It's like what we talked about, I think, on our last podcast was the whole feel of like how they're going to feel like they're doing whatever makes them money at the time. Well, right now it's fucking comic book movies, right? And superhero movies. Back in our day, when we're 18 and 19 or between that era, it was college movies. And now you're thinking about it, there was a lot of them. And I didn't think about that.
Titty flicks, dude.
Right.
Wild Things.
I don't think it's
Come on,
great.
Denise Richards. Come on.
The movie was phenomenal. I think I just watched the movie to watch her tits, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sam likes the scene with Kevin Bacon's cock.
I thought he did that to see, what's that movie with fucking Mark Wahlberg when he's a porn star?
You're a big, bright,
Boogie
shining
Nights.
star.
Yeah.
You're a big, bright,
st-
shining
His
star.
favorite parts at the end when he
Yeah,
pulls his cock
he's
out.
like
And he
freeze
puts
frames
that
the
on
end.
pause and he just jacks
It's
it.
the prosthetic, guys. Come on.
Yeah, 'cause-
Jeez. Yeah, so I'm a big star, if you guys didn't know either. So
Yeah, fuck you.
my wife calls me the big star.
Yeah.
So anyway, go back
Yeah.
back to what we are talking about with old Jack Burton.
So there was Big Trouble in Little China.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
that's-
great movie, man.
So
I haven't seen it probably in about a year or two, but I definitely, now that we're talking about it, I kind of want to watch it again.
Dude, it's good for any time.
It kind of brings back the feel of like,
Christmas, Chanukah,
Yeah.
what was
What
the other
have
movie?
you,
What was the
yeah.
other movie Jack Burton, Escape from L.A.? Kind of has
Yeah.
that kind of feel a little bit to it too as well, that movie.
Snake Plissken.
Yeah, there was some weird Escape from New York as well. Like that prison escape was kooky and weird. Like he just does that in a fun way, weird and just off the
Well,
wall
look,
type
okay,
set pieces and
let's throw him down against let's just action heroes of the '90s. Kurt Russell was an action hero in the '90s, along with Sly, Arnold, you name it. He was in the crew.
Well, you know what? That's
He was
funny.
making shit in the '80s and '90s.
You know
that
what
was
that's
action.
Funny? Now you think about it, there is not a lot of action films with a lot of heroes and people now besides comics. So the comic era is kind of taken over the hero type feel movie. We had Kurt Russell and all you're saying. We have Bruce Willis.
I feel like
man.
you still see the revenge story.
Yeah.
They live.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
God,
that's a
great
that movie's
movie.
So fucking good.
But did you guys not get that feel either? We had this whole section of these amazing actors, Stallone and Arnold and Kurt Russell and Bruce
well,
Willis.
they were
and
good at what they did. Yeah, action movies.
We don't see that.
Well,
no
it's
more,
like-
though, as much.
yeah,
We see
like-
action
'cause,
movies.
yeah, no, it's okay. So what? Okay, what happened in between action movies and then the hero movies? What was that?
It's like they combine them into one.
So it was
seriously, it was like
I would say-
Transformers.
I would say
right?
yeah, they started going bigger. You had Michael Bay making
Yeah.
Armageddon in 1998, and then
I've
going
never-
bigger.
Summer
and bigger.
tent poles. Would you
I'll be
agree?
yeah, but let me tell you one thing. I've never liked Armageddon. I don't know why people
No.
love that
No,
movie.
fuck that movie.
I've never liked it. You know,
It's heartless. Come
But you know
on,
what was so
guys.
funny about
I
that
was
is,
just
too?
talking about this with somebody.
Armageddon and Deep Impact came out the same time. It's literally the same,
Same
fucking
movie,
movie
yeah.
and plot.
Stay awake
Kill yourself.
just to hear you breathing.
And they had to slip that in there with Liv Tyler in the movie.
But I'm not gonna lie, he was singing about his daughter, and that was kind of creepy.
Okay, we know
Yeah,
what you used to do back when this movie came out. Now sing it and jack it to Liv Tyler.
Yeah, it was no. I watched this movie
Same
once
like-
seriously, and I teared up when Bruce gave himself up.
Yeah, you
I was just
teared.
like, fuck.
He's a
but it's
true hero,
bittersweet
man.
because they're gonna be together now.
But seriously though, like they went on a weird way of making these type of movies, and you don't see them anymore. It really bothers me. I don't know why
Well,
it
yeah.
bothers me so much, but not thinking about it now, it's like what happened to these type of action movies? I was like, I can't
You
wait to see
named
good
it,
action.
dude. Marvel
I
makes
think
action movies now.
I think they conglomerated it all into like one
Like-
single source,
Like
right?
Mission Impossible isn't a good action movie that still comes out. That's going to be the last one that comes out.
I mean, but you've always had your fringe action movies like that. Like
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah,
you've
but-
always the 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah,
Just
who's gonna be
straight
like the
action,
next like
throwaway action?
Indiana Jones though, or something like a new like just likable character that goes on
Yeah.
like this romping adventure.
You know, Hardcore Henry is another good movie that came out. It was the first time they ever did a first-person movie, like a first-person shooter type movie. I don't know why I want to talk about that, but that movie was phenomenal for like an action film. A lot of people didn't really like it. And the
didn't
reason
see
I
it.
probably like it is because I really love FPS games.
Right.
So I have like a type of like I guess like a attachment to it. But a lot of people didn't like it. But you know what? When I showed it to a lot of people out of the movie theater that didn't go see it, they actually enjoyed it when I came over and they showed it at my
It's
house.
good for what it is, but I mean, as far as a genre, I could not see that happening because you need you need a protagonist that talks. You have to have that. Like
Yeah.
for them, it was clever the way they got around that in that movie for sure, and it
Yeah, I
was
haven't
good for what
seen
it
it,
is.
but-
But
You never seen it?
No,
Check
I
it
haven't
out.
seen it.
I don't think you could successfully produce movies where your hero doesn't talk. Like
Wow.
it just doesn't. But that was still a great movie, dude. I love that the one guy kept coming back.
In different forms.
Yeah.
But anyway, go off that rant about that. Yeah, the action stuff that we don't see anymore sucks. I wish we had some like really good actors nowadays that still play these
I
stuff.
mean, you know, don't get me wrong. Just wait a few years. I mean, Hollywood will rehash like a Rambo or a Terminator. You just gotta.
I mean, the
They'll
rehashing.
cycle through this shit.
They
They
always
have
do,
no
but
creative ideas
like you said,
anymore.
though,
They're just trying to sell products.
They're gonna burn out the whole movie industry with just fucking comic stuff. I just read yesterday they're making another Black Panther with this a female lead role with one of the role. Apparently, there's a character from Black Panther that has her own comics too.
It's like a spin-off Black Panther
Yes.
series.
Is it
Yeah.
his wife or sister?
Suri, I think his sister.
Yeah, I think it's his sister.
Becomes Black Panther
And people are
in the
even asking
comics.
for this
I'd
movie.
watch that.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought she was hot.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
gonna be a good movie, but it's like, where does it stop? It's probably never gonna stop, right? They're gonna burn it out until people don't want to watch it anymore, which is probably.
Oh
never.
yeah, no. There's gonna be a reckoning for superhero movies. I predict. I think one day, it's just gonna get to be. It's gonna.
Well, it's like
people are just gonna be like, "What the fuck?" Like
I think
every movie in the theater right now is based off a comic book.
Right.
How did we fucking get to this?
Well, it's probably gonna stop when they don't make money. That would be the real answer. When they don't
Yeah, I
make the
think
money,
I think
and
that's
then
totally
they'll start
fair.
switching it up.
Right. They're gonna need some flops. They're gonna, and I don't think it'll be from quality of movie. I think it'll just be from people getting tired of seeing Iron Man 17 just now.
Well, Iron
you
Man's
know,
done, but I get your point.
you don't get it.
Yeah. So let's move to your pick, Sam, and
No, I don't want to. I don't
let's
want to
talk
talk about my
what
pick today.
what you picked.
I'm not going to.
picked
Alright,
his
well,
ass crack.
We're gonna skip.
I'm gonna
you.
put my fist up in solidarity with those that are suffering right now, and insert third world country here.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip you and
Radical, man.
go on. To
All right,
our-
look, I picked Fight Club. Come on, guys. First rule, you don't talk about it. It's
Fair
when you
enough.
break the first and second rule.
All right. Well, we're gonna talk
Fuck you
about it,
guys.
because we
So-
don't want you to be part of the club anymore.
All right, look, this is a story about a guy who breaks. I love it. This is I actually never read the book, but I feel like after watching the movie, it's like you don't need to read the book.
You get the point.
You get the fucking point. I just love how like
It blows my mind though. but
rough
too-
around the edges this is.
It blows my mind, Bo. At the time this movie came out in '99, Edward Norton and Brad Pitt were huge actors at the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're like the prime of their career. Everybody loved them. They're cream of the crop. They're doing all these good movies. They're coming out, and this one flopped because they're same thing again. Nobody knew what the movie was about.
And I would argue, okay, because look, this was written by Chuck.
Palahniuk.
I can never pronounce his last name, but Palahniuk, I always say.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but yeah.
Yeah, so
I know who you mean.
he's also written Choke, and he's written a number of other good. Like he's a great modern contemporary writer. I like him. I enjoy him. But anyways, yeah. So this is just a movie retelling of his story, Fight Club, and it's just like a quick run. The down and dirty is it's like you got this guy who meets somebody on an airplane, and he's living the pathetic life, just the 9 to 5 cubicle single guy. Like he's got no purpose in life really except to be the worker drone.
Well,
and
I think he makes a good point too. Is like he has nobody he talks to, right? He has like no family or anything. It's what I get out of it, right? And he's the 9 to 5 worker bee, and his life is his apartment. Like he says, he's like, that apartment was my life when it blows up or whatever. Because he's in there, he's like on IKEA, and he's fucking doing, just buying shit. So to me, like you just said, that's pretty much what he lives for is his apartment.
yeah, so just blatant consumerism. He finds meaning in life not through personal connections, through purchasing items in the catalog. And I love that scene where he's going through and he's on the shitter.
Yep.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
just like filling in, and it looks like a catalog, and it's going through, and he's got every little piece, even the yin yang table. And then he travels for his job.
Yeah, it literally looks
And
like an
so-
IKEA fucking store.
Yeah,
in there.
and so one day he gets back to his apartment and it's on fire, and he just so happened to have met a stranger who gave him his card on the latest flight, and so he has nobody else in his life to call after his apartment blows up. So he calls this random ass guy, and
Fun fact I gotta bring up: Brad Pitt in every movie, he eats in every movie, right? And when he calls him, he's eating food on the phone.
yeah, he's crunching something.
Watch a Brad Pitt movie and tell me what movie you can get through without him eating something.
I know every Ocean's movie he's eating.
Every movie. No, every movie. I mean, even when he's in the what's it called?
I'm sure, but just off
Moneyball.
the top of my head, I'm just saying.
Moneyball eats popcorn and fucking chips and hot dogs and shit the entire movie, and then
Pasta, burgers.
yeah, burgers, all kinds of shit. I just thought it was funny. It's like I don't understand why he always feels the need to eat in his movies.
Right,
It's just funny.
What is this? The Sopranos episode?
right.
Yeah.
She was a hooah. Yeah. So, anyways, look. Just to get through it. Okay. So the fucking guy meets the other guy. They're drinking, talking about life. Like it gets philosophical. They're like, what's the point of life? All this, that, and the other. He's just like, like everything I own was up there, and like the guy's name's Tyler Durden that he meets, and through lessons Tyler's telling him, he's just like, no, your life wasn't up there. And it's just like, Tyler gives hard life lessons, and they end up fighting out in the parking lot. And
They had gone out to get beers or something, right?
Yeah, they're going out.
yeah,
Yeah.
after this apartment, because he's sitting in he's like, they're drinking. He's just like, my whole life was up there. I just had a respectable wardrobe. I had just purchased this, that, and the other. And Tyler's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, none of that means
That's all
anything.
materialistic
It's all
bullshit.
stuff. Because
He's like,
But
because
it brings up a
Ed
good
Norton's
point.
character is so hung up on stuff, and like this whole movie, it's like it's just anti-consumerism, but just to fill it out is just like, look, so they get into a fight in the parking lot, and it's just like it awakens something in Ed Norton's character, and so and Tyler gets something out of it too. So he moves into Tyler's shitty house on Paper Street. And then they start a fucking fight club, and then they just start fighting random people and getting in. It's like the one place they go to feel alive,
right?
Because everybody
it's this visceral,
right,
raw experience,
right?
yeah.
Because everybody's living these lives they don't want to live, and
Right.
this is
And
how
they want
like they
something
deal
more.
with it.
Yeah.
And I forgot, I jumped ahead because before he found Tyler in Fight Club, he was going around all those self-help meetings, and he's going around to like all those meetings with like, I've got like terminal parasites and shit.
Yeah,
and
or,
like
like,
because
ball
he had
cancer.
trouble sleeping.
What does he have? He has
Insomnia.
Insomnia, right?
Yeah, he has insomnia, and so like after and he kept going. He went to his doctor, and he was just like, I need something for sleep. And he's like, no. He's like, take valerian root. He's like, if you want to see people that really suffer, he's like, go down to the corner of 16 and 2nd. Like those people got this problem or
cancer,
whatever, and he's just like, go see people that are really suffering. And so he took him up on it, and he went down there. He met Big Bob, who's Meatloaf, and Bob's got bitch tits.
Yeah, bitch tits, Bob. Yeah.
because he took steroids.
Because he took steroids, yeah. So before all that shit I just said, it was just like, this is where Ed's character got his start on getting outside support.
Yeah.
Because he had problems, he just didn't know how to deal with them.
Well, it was funny that he's like, I couldn't get any sleep until I started crying and going to these places.
Yeah, that was
Right.
it. Then he slept like a fucking baby.
Yeah.
After he started crying.
And then he meets, what's her name? Martha.
Marla.
Marla Singer,
and
yeah.
she fucks up his world, and he's like, what's going on? Like, you need to split these classes with me and go different days. Like, this is
He
my,
couldn't.
this is my chi, and you're fucking
yeah,
up.
yeah, her. Yeah, like he couldn't when she was in there. Because he knew she was a faker too.
Because she was in like the testicle meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, so he knew she was a faker too.
Yeah.
And so like he couldn't like get his sleep rocks off if she was in the meeting. So he tries to split them, and then he starts Fight Club, and then
And then Tyler starts banging her.
Then Tyler starts banging her, and then it all escalates. They get Fight Club going really good, and then
start
they
making
start
this-
Project Mayhem.
Yep.
It's like the next
It's like
step
a cult
in.
status at this
Yeah,
point.
it's
Yeah.
like a cult, and they have
Yeah.
like these cults around different areas now, like different states. He's flying around, going places, starting these things, and people are like,
Well, yeah, and
They
he
all-
starts them off of his Fight Clubs first
yep.
to get them indoctrinated, and and then it's just like it's so
Which
like,
brings up a funny point, like you said, like he has insomnia, and it brings insomnia back because he's like, I'm traveling around all these places. He's like, I don't even know where I've been in the last like 72 hours, right?
Right.
Which
yeah.
is crazy to think about.
Well,
The people-
because the further in the movie you go, the more unhinged he gets. Again, because it's like he finds some peace and sleep, and then he meets Tyler, and then shit starts getting crazy again between Fight Club and Project Mayhem. Because what was it like
they're
he
blowing up the credit card companies to go back to zero. Everybody's dead.
Well, before that,
Yeah.
he he goes out. And he was not expecting them to like blow up like the statue and rock that. Or I forgot what mission he went on, but he was just like, "What the fuck is going on?" And Tyler explains to him, he's just like, "You decide your own level of involvement in Project Mayhem."
'Cause when
He's
it,
just
like, it
in
was-
Project Mayhem, you do not ask questions.
I remember there's like a thing. They go to like it's like a globe in some sort of fountain.
Yeah,
Like,
okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where Bob gets killed.
Yeah.
He gets shot.
And that's why they're talking about their whole. You decide your level of involvement.
And
Yeah,
Project-
It's like
because
he had
Yeah,
a,
it gets to the
he
point
had
where-
a name.
his name is Bob.
His name was
Yeah.
Robert Paulson.
Robert Paulson or whatever. Yeah.
His name was Robert
And then everybody's
Paulson.
thinking, in Project Mayhem, his name is Robert Paulson, so everybody becomes Robert Paulson, which is fucked
Or
up.
what he's like, in life he had no name because
Right.
when you join, you lose your name. But he's like, in death, his name was Robert Paulson.
Right.
That's crazy.
Because, it turns all cultish like, but then it's like, it just comes to a head. It's just too much because they start doing like real serious stuff to get in the news. I think the last one that Ed was involved in where it was like that talk where they all act as waiters and they go in and threaten that like police chief or whatever, and they tie that thing around his balls.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're like, you're going to
Yeah,
stop
they're
your
gonna clip 'em.
investigation into the
Yeah.
underground fight arenas or whatever. He's like, you're going to say that this, we looked into it and there's nothing to it. He's like, and you're going to drop your investigation.
I like his saying,
and then
though,
they
he
fucking
tells us-
cut the fucking rubber band off his
Right.
balls.
He makes a good point, and he's like, we cook your food, we watch your cars, we do all this stuff. He's like, don't pretty much tells him
We
don't
protect
fuck with,
you when you sleep.
Yeah, don't fuck with us, pretty much. Which is he makes a good point. Like
Because look at Fight Club and Project Mayhem in a way. It was just like these are average guys who joined. Like this was it was your waiter. It was your like everybody who joined. It was your average people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's
Just
good.
fed up with life and consumerism.
It was
it was such an attack on consumerism.
Yeah, I think it made some really good points in the movie, and like what the whole point is. And of course, the plot twist at the end is the best point in the movie to me. I mean, after they find out they're blowing up all the credit cards and all that shit, and he freaks out.
Yeah. So Project Mayhem ends, and there's this whole side plot where Tyler makes soap, and come to find out, there's parts of soap making that's explosive, and that's where they get their explosives from. Is their soap making process, their byproduct. And so it turns into, Project Mayhem is starting to get really extreme. And when it finally clicks. What's his name? Ed starts traveling around because he's got all these ticket stubs. He doesn't remember going anywhere, and by now he's like real manic. And he's just like going around all these places, and he's finding out that like what Randy was saying earlier, it's like we started clubs like all these cities, and like they spread it. And I remember him walking past that one random kitchen, and they're like, his name was Robert Paulson,
Right.
in some different city even, and then it didn't click until the one guy was just like, or like, are things up to snuff, sir? And he's like, what? He's like, have you seen me before? He's like, is this a test? He's like, are you sure this isn't a test? And he's like, yeah, this isn't a test. He's like, you're sitting over there like last Thursday or whatever. And it all comes to a head that Ed Norton is Brad Pitt. And
Right.
he is Tyler Durden.
That's like the badass alter ego he like created for himself in
Because
this, like,
he was such a weak,
insomniac, twisted state of mind.
He was such a weak, willed-minded and willed person.
He had
Which
to
I think-
personify
create
that somewhere else.
this badass Brad Pitt, because it's like he wanted to fuck Marla, but he couldn't. But Brad Pitt could, and like he wanted to apparently, attack, do this huge like fucking like plot. But it's just like
I can almost guarantee that if you nowadays with people that have split personalities, I bet this really does happen to people where they can't handle things, but for stress reasons or whatever, and they go into like an alter third person ego type thing where they can't control. Like, for example, we all know one person in this room that had split personalities that started changing and going through that kind of shit multiple times.
yeah.
So it does happen, which is cool. But that was the best plot twist at the end. It's like you didn't know what happened. And still that point at the end, like where they're blowing up everything for the credit card companies. I never got this point, but like when he shoots himself in the back of the head, Edward Norton.
Where is my mind?
And pretty much that kills off Tyler Durden, right?
Right.
It symbolically kills him off without
kill-
killing Ed's character.
That's what I didn't get. Why? How couldn't you blow a hole in the back of your fucking neck? I guess it went out the side of his neck and didn't kill him.
Yeah,
and missed. He missed or whatever. It just clipped him, and I guess it didn't hit no major artery or veins or anything. But I guess he lived.
It was more of a resolution in the sense of like he had already understood that Tyler was a split personality, and I think like he was finally like manning up in his brain to fucking he literally was willing to fucking kill himself to kill Tyler, and I think that symbolically that showed like Tyler's gone.
Yeah.
Ed's character is strong enough now at this point to continue forward without needing Tyler to do his dirty work.
The cool part about that to me was at the end, right when that happened, he's sitting there and he's like, he finally like came to like self conclusion that he's wanting, he's strong enough. Then all the buildings like burn down and fall down at the same time. Crazy, because like, what would that really do to the world if everybody's credit went back to zero and the credit cards got fucked like that? They couldn't bring that shit back.
It'd be chaos. Yeah, complete chaos.
Like, what you think it'd be chaos?
I think so because it's like, who?
I mean, it's
who
probably
has
billions.
cash?
It's probably billions of dollars, right?
Because think like, does like company like any major company, do they have like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in cash on stock?
Yeah.
That's all numbers and computers. Like everything would be just like gone. I think it would be chaos within days. Like infrastructure would shut down. Like people would know.
They never really talk about if they actually hit all the DRs, like the
Right.
disaster recovery things. In real life, probably wouldn't have because they probably have a cloud backups and some shit way off site that would never happen.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
it'd still be chaos for a while, like everybody's shit going to zero and stuff.
Right.
You're probably right. It probably would hurt a lot of companies. Probably won't the credit card companies, but it probably hurt a lot of other businesses too because there's a lot of money going into other stuff as well.
Right. I just think of it in terms of the movie. It's like they knew they had to hit these spots to fuck everything up. Say like, I think you're right. It would be a lot more complicated process because New York gets blown up, everything fails over in Los Angeles or whatever.
Yep.
It's like it would be really hard to coordinate and hit everything. But
the premises of what's happening, it makes sense and why they want to do it because of the greedy corporations and they want to help the other people out in America because other people won't, so they're taking it upon themselves to do it. Which it's a cool premises for the story. I just because I didn't read the book, so I don't know how much farther they actually got into it. So I didn't know if you guys knew actually.
I haven't read it either, actually.
So I mean, yeah, but it's a great movie. It does have a lot of cool points, and it blows my mind that it didn't what's it called? It didn't make a lot of money in the movies. It's
Well, if you think about like this, it's this weird twisted story about like losing your mind. How exactly were they going to market it to let you know what it's about? Like, because that's what I was saying to you guys earlier.
because it revealed what
I remember seeing trailers. I'm like, what's this movie about? It looks like just like Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know, like they're having underground fights. I didn't know what the fuck, you know.
With the overall message, I could easily see them not wanting to promote this much.
Well, fair enough, because it is heavily anti-consumer, heavy duty, yeah.
It's like a fucking a thesis on anti-consumerism, but yeah, like, so I can easily see them not pushing very hard on the marketing. On top of it's a thinker, dude. It's like you can, dude, even though like after the twist is revealed, it's like you can still go back and watch this a few times and appreciate then, like,
it's
know,
the whole
like
build up, not necessarily that
because
he's two people.
But
that's really
the second watch through after is completely different from your first watch through. It's,
right.
So that's one movie. As long as it's not spoiled for you, that's good for 2 watches.
Yeah, it is. I like the things I didn't see the first time was there's a couple of spots in the movie where he's starting to lose his shit, and you see Tyler Durden like come in the background, like glitch in, and then it come back out, like kind of like he was showing like that point when like he does the porno scene on the movie, which we forgot about that which is probably the funniest part. He's like a little burnout, you know, in the corner with like the cigarette marker.
Yeah, in the industry we call those cigarette burns.
Yeah, cigarette burns. And he puts a little porno clip in the movie, and it's like, did everybody just see that guy getting, you know, that girl getting plowed from behind? Yeah, but no one's gonna talk about it or whatever. Like that.
Yeah,
that
just slips in off
awesome.
frame. Yeah.
Sam's choking on cock over here and trying to figure out what's going on, but
he thought he could make it to the
are
balls,
foul.
no problem.
But yeah, great movie. I think if like I don't know. There's another movie I can really compare this to. I don't remember. There's no movies like this out there.
Not really at all.
It's kind of like its own like genre movie, which is kind of weird because like I can't really compare it to any other movie, which is why I think it's such a good classic movie. And I think it does have some type of cool feel to it too as well. So I think we're gonna move on to our last pick. Or what do you think?
So yeah, just next pick was.
Next pick, I think so. Moving on to the next pick, I think I'm going to. We went with Clue, which was kind of like a round robin. We all decided that we want to kind of talk about a movie that, you know, it takes place in the 1950s.
I didn't want to talk about it. I was forced to.
Okay, well, anyway, me and Matt wanted to talk about it, and
They had a gun to my head. Literally,
it's cool because to me, this movie has that feel like when you're a kid. Of course, the fucking board game, you played it. It was a lot of fun with your friends to play this. And at the same time, you watch the movie and you're like, wow, I want to see what it's like to like watch this movie played out like as a board game in real life. That's how I feel like it is in the movie.
I was too dumb for this game. I never liked this game. I like 13 Dead End Drive.
Well, you're just dumb. So
Mousetrap.
I don't care about
I'm not even playing Mousetrap. I'm just like setting out the Mousetrap.
Yeah, that was the best part.
I don't know if I've ever played legitimately a game of Mousetrap. I think every time in life I just set up the trap. And
I rather just played Hungry Hippos. Just be honest.
Fuck, that was fun as fuck.
Yeah, I like that game too.
Crossfire was my actually
Crossfire.
Game. So, Clue, 1985, the movie came out, placed in the 1950s. Tim Curry's main character, which steals the movie. Really, Tim Curry makes the movie for me.
Yeah, same.
And he plays the head guy, Bosworth, which is actually Mr. Body in the movie. And pretty much what he does is he calls all these people over that he's been blackmailing to have dinner. And then one by one, he reveals that he's blackmailing them all. And they all freak out. And then, pretty much starts the downfall of, who's going to get murdered first in the house. They all go to this room. It's like the study or something.
It's true to form, this was based off of a board game.
Yeah, you have all the classic locations. And
characters,
pieces,
pieces, rooms, murder weapons, like this.
Right.
Like in this kind of game, I'm very impressed with the quality of this movie, honestly.
It was. So to me, I can't believe this actually movie flopped in movie theaters, and I think after people realized what a good movie this was, I don't know what happened. I don't know if the marketing didn't happen right, or maybe at the time when that came out. In the
Probably afterwards. What do you think? Word of mouth spread after more people saw it, like
Well,
on VHS or something.
Probably. I think what happened probably was it came out in the 80s, and a lot of parents that didn't know what the hell Clue was, and it was more of a kid game, didn't realize what it was, and when the movie came out and kids saw it, it turned into more of like the cult classic movie because they all enjoyed watching it now, right? So
one thing from what I understand was a failure of this movie commercially is in the theatrical release, they did not play all the endings to the film, or you got like one or the other. When you went to see it,
That is ringing a bell now.
and I think that was hard to push to an audience.
That you're getting one of multiple, and you might not
Right.
even have a chance
Right.
to see the other.
And so that's one thing I was reading is like why it obtained more success later is like on the home releases on VHS or DVD, whatever. You get all three endings played like sequentially at the end.
Which is great. Which I never knew anything different, but like you're saying, if that's what it was, probably pissed people off, or they're like, why did that happen? And now that they released other ones, it probably made people happier to seeing multiple. Because in Clue, like you play the game, there's multiple people that can kill people and do stuff, and you got to figure it out, which makes more sense. They should have multiple endings at the end for that type of feel. But going through the movie, it does have that classic feel, like they're going from place to place. Somebody gets murdered. I think at the beginning, what happens? Mr. Body gets murdered by somebody, and then Bosworth goes through and retraces everybody's steps, and they're running around. People are screaming. Miss Peacock thinks she gets poisoned from
And
drinking
then
something.
as you go on, there's more outside characters that show up that get murdered.
Yeah.
And then like the cook gets murdered.
Yeah, the cook does, and then like the motorist comes up, he gets murdered, the cop gets murdered, and so does the singing telegram girl. So there's a bunch of like random characters that come in that get murdered that aren't.
Did the maid get murdered ever?
The maid gets murdered as well.
The maid gets
Yeah.
murdered.
She gets
yeah.
choked out with like a noose in the pool room.
That's
or something,
right. I remember they show like the like shadow of it, right?
Yeah, and when you're a kid watching, you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, seeing what happened, and then they reveal like there's trap doors around the house that could go like from place to place because people are wondering how people got without being seen, and to me, man, this is one of those nostalgia movies where like if you didn't play Clue growing up as a kid, or you didn't know what the hell Clue was, I could see why you wouldn't be really intrigued by this movie. But me, like playing as a kid, I watched it.
I would argue that, yeah, you wouldn't get the same appreciation level, but you would like the act. There's good enough acting and actors
It's
in
like-
this that it's still enjoyable.
In Agatha Christie caliber, like whodunit murder mystery story.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
On its own legs, regardless of,
I like
10 little Indian boys.
I like
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd in the movie because he's kind of like he's kind of like the alcoholic, like funny, perverted fucking guy in the movie or whatever. Like,
Yeah, he was the one who got busted with one of his students, right?
Right.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd.
That's
He
awesome.
would.
Every time I see Christopher Lloyd, you just go to Back to the Future automatically in your head, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, in this
Great Scott.
he's good. But yeah, Tim Curry definitely steals the movie.
God, it was so sad seeing Tim Curry in his later years.
in a wheelchair.
All fucked up and out of his mind. It was just like, don't even wheel. Why are you wheeling him down this red carpet right now? Let
So
him fucking.
he has passed away at this point, hasn't
Yeah.
he?
He has to have
I-
because he was in bad shape years ago.
Whatever happened with Tim Curry? I never really got into it.
No, he's still alive.
He's
it
still
looks like.
alive.
No way. He
But
is
no, he's-
bad
he's-
off. Go to his wiki.
What happened to him? I just want to know. Like,
Stroke? Was it stroke?
I want to say it was stroke related.
I just remember being really sad when I found out that he was like incapacitated.
it's crazy, dude. Like he's got so many good movies under his belt. I don't, we've talked about it before. Like it's an amazing
Just
movie
run
with
a
him.
personal life.
So like,
Yeah, in 2012, he suffered a major stroke. As a result of the stroke, he now uses a wheelchair.
Yeah, his face is a little droopy and shit.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
just sad because, I mean, this guy,
well, to me,
this is the motherfucker, yeah, the Rocky Horror dance around with
Well, I
his
mean,
fucking...
the feel with him. I mean, at least he got to go through his entire career. I feel bad, like for like Michael J. Fox. To me, Michael J. Fox was one of those guys that could have went on to make a lot of great movies. And
I still think he's great, like even in roles since his
what is he on? Spin City or whatever he played on or whatever for a long
Spin
time.
City was good.
yeah, And then
I don't know how we got Michael J. Fox in these.
yeah,
this stuff,
Frighteners.
Frighteners. You could tell I think he said he started feeling effects like even in Back to the Future and Teen Wolf and shit, and they would work with him. I know in Frighteners that it was like you could tell in some of those scenes it was already so bad, but like Peter Jackson was willing to work with him to get good shots.
Well, because people love Michael J. Fox.
Yes, to this day I fucking love Michael J.
like
Fox,
all-
and I
I-
would just
I-
support him just strictly based off of like.
I love all his movies.
And that's why I loved his appearances in Larry David, because it's just like, he's an actor at heart and he wants to act, but it's just like he doesn't get a lot of opportunity.
He
and it's
shakes
just like
up the Diet Coke on purpose.
yeah, but it's
He
just
knows
like
Larry's gonna
but-
try to say.
But here's fucking Larry fucking David, funniest guy in the world, and he's got room on his show to like do a Mike Fox bit.
I was gonna say
And
there's
it was
been
just,
a
like,
couple times
great.
he's been on some shows and like he's used his disability to like be funny and humorous, and it's fucking great. And it's like, I'm glad he has a good sense of humor and will be able to do that because he doesn't want to leave acting. Like, and people still want to watch Michael J. Fox. I guarantee that he's got a huge fan following. But getting back to the movie and shit.
Well, before we get back to the movie, back to Tim Curry real quick. Apparently, this is news to me, but 1996, Tim Curry's fantastic role in Congo actually won him a nomination for the worst supporting actor for a Razzie Award. I did not know
Amy,
that.
good gorilla.
I didn't even know that. I liked Congo. I always thought it was a
I
good
fucking
Yeah, I
love
thought-
Congo,
I thought
dude.
Congo's dope.
Yeah, you need to go get some diamonds
Stop
for your
eating
lasers.
my sesame cake. And that's when Tim Curry's eating, and he just spits it back out in the napkin. That fucking part's awesome. I don't
Yeah,
know why
when
it
they
sticks out at me.
when they finally do get the crystals and start slaying those gray gorillas with it, dude, fucking sick.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just like,
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah, just cutting them
He
up.
fucked that
like-
girl at the end and just throws that diamond. She's like, "This is what it was for." He's like, and the guy's like, "Ouch!" And then when he throws out the balloon, he's like, "Where's this taking us?" I don't know. It's like all that to drop Amy off or whatever and do that, but it's like, you know what? I'll at least keep that diamond. At least got something out of it. Fuck giving it back to your boss.
Right.
Shove it
Well,
up your vagina.
I hate to say it, but I mean, it's even the fakest part of that movie was how they acted like diamonds were like priceless. When
Well,
we
these
all
were
know
special
fucking
diamonds
De
that can
Beers,
power
like,
lasers.
fucking-
But did you see the size of those things, dude? You don't find diamonds just sitting around like that. The
Yeah,
Lost-
thanks
the-
to De Beers, they
the
have
Lo-
them all under fucking lock and key.
Well, now, I mean, not letting the Lost City is in. They don't. Tim Curry knows where it's
Yeah.
at.
Right.
Yeah, protected by gorillas, man.
Yeah, protected by gorillas and
That's why they're so expensive, dude. Those poor diamond miners have to fight gorillas with lasers every day to get our diamonds.
That's like a great, like, just setting for a story right there.
oh, could you imagine if a story came out about that?
That would
Latest
be
miner
awesome.
gets fucking armed.
2 miners died today in the laser wars against the gorillas.
They're thinking about coming out with lightsabers now to fucking chop off, lights or whatever the gorillas. But yeah, that's crazy.
Amy, greedy gorilla, zap.
But yeah, great movie, dude. Clue's great.
Who's great? Tim Curry's great. Chris Lloyd's great. I mean,
But we gotta get into endings though. That's like the main plot of the
Right.
movie is like what happens, and it's like, there's like 3 different settings, and like in the first one, like Yvette and Miss Scarlet kills pretty much everybody, and then the next one I think is the real true one, which where everybody kills somebody because everybody knows somebody and how they're linked together, which is way pretty cool and interesting as well. You find out everybody's linked together somehow. They know one another from some type
Right.
of shit. And then the last one, of course, is just Miss Peacock, and then she gets taken over by the FBI or whatever, and then
because Mr. Green,
yeah, Mr. Green, what's the guy's
Michael
name?
McKean,
Michael McKean, yeah.
who was also in Coneheads.
Yep, Michael McKean's the cop in that one as well.
Coneheads always made me
Wasn't
uncomfortable
he?
as
He
a
was.
kid.
Him and David Spade were they Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah.
Or
I don't know. Honestly, I never
they
really liked
were
that
like Border
movie.
Patrol or
Yeah.
something.
It gave me the creeps, man.
I love how David Spade and Farley were always in movies together. They couldn't find them like the parallel dudes. Like if you hire Farley, you have to get David
Yeah,
Spade
it's
with
Batman
you.
and Robin.
Yeah, but yeah, great movie, dude. But
Yeah, he was in. Yeah, he loves the way she eats the sandwich from Subway.
yeah, just deep
Because it
throats
was
it.
who was that who played the Conehead daughter?
Fuck, I can't remember, but she was pretty good looking back
Oh,
then.
she was in. She was one of the witches in that one show with the 3 witch sisters.
Uh,
Well,
Charmed.
Yeah.
what's it called? Charmed or whatever.
Is it
But I
Rose
hate my-
McGowan? Is that who it
No.
was?
What was it? It was Sinbad.
Yeah, it was Sinbad. Yep. Mystery solved.
I guess she's not a main.
Keep going down. No, dude, she's a big name.
Is she a big name? I haven't seen her yet. If she's a big name, she would have showed up as one of the main characters. You would think is his daughter. All right. Well, I don't. Think,
Ellen DeGeneres was in that movie?
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
she's not in here. I guess they don't like her. Christina, is that her right there?
No.
No, whatever. Fuck it, dude. Who
No,
cares?
Joey Laurie, Joe,
Jimmy, Joey, Jory.
Joey. I was just gonna say Joey Laurie Adams was the fucking chick from Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here you go. You can look at. I think it's
It's either Shannon Doherty, Melissa Milano, or
Alyssa Milano.
Alyssa Milano,
Come
that's right.
on.
Yeah, dude. She's.
Is that who that was?
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, dude.
She was a conehead.
I swear to God, go down to her Discord. Like, how did she?
She's not on here. Sam's lying. She's in Commando as his daughter. I remember that. She was
Yeah.
hot back then and that. So
I swear to God, she was the daughter in Coneheads.
he's lying. You don't know what he's talking about. He was smoking one that night again.
I was on one.
I don't. It's not in there. Boom. She's not in Coneheads.
All right.
Regardless, who cares?
I do remember her in Commando, though.
I do too. I love Commando.
Oh, and she was in the Josie music video for Blink-182.
Melrose. That's your favorite. I thought you used to watch Melrose Place and just like whack it to the head.
No, man, I was fucking 90210 for life.
Who was the boss? That was terrible.
All right,
fucking
well, I was
joke.
terribly wrong about Alyssa Milano. I'm sorry for the waste of time.
Yeah, it was a waste of time. I don't think you should ever bring up actors or actresses ever again. You don't know what you're talking about.
She looked like Alyssa Milano.
Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, you know what? Like, it's funny though. All these movies we bring up are such good cult classic movies that that did like flop in theaters. And it's crazy that I don't think there's that many movies nowadays that come in theaters I would consider cult classic movies. And maybe it takes a long time to become a cult classic movie. But can you name any movies off the top of your head in the last 15 years?
Speed Racer, Dragon Ball,
No.
the live-action version.
Nope.
Pacific Rim.
I mean,
I've already been here. The Transformer series.
I mean, if you like terrible movies, then yeah, sure.
come
Terrible
on,
cult classics.
guys.
That's a new genre.
But no, I'm just
I'm trying
joking.
to
But in all
think,
serious, yeah, in all
I
seriousness,
think maybe like a modern example would be like Shaun of the Dead. I don't think it was terribly popular in theaters, but like
Was that remade though?
was that remade
Yeah,
from something?
That was remade.
what are you talking about? That's a parody. Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's, Shaun of the Dead is a parody. That's
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
Dawn
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 of
of
the
the Dead. That's
Yeah,
right.
dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like that wasn't commercially successful until like word of mouth and like DVD sales. Like, everyone wanted to see
speaking
it,
of
man.
zombie movies, what was the one with the guy from in London where he wakes up in the hospital?
28 Days Later.
28 Days Later.
Oh, yeah, that's
wasn't that a cult classic?
I'd consider.
I guess you could consider
Yeah.
that a cult classic.
But these these are all pretty old examples. As of recent years, like 2010s and on, I couldn't name
That's what I'm
you
saying.
one.
Like, you don't see many cult classics in our era of growing up in the middle 2000s that I can name off the top of my
Do
head.
you think that has something to do with like streaming access?
Could be.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're in a whole new ball game here. It's like before it was just like, you had to reach for that favorite DVD. And now it's
Right.
just like, what streaming service do you
Well,
have?
yeah, it was like.
we've talked. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I'd save up money to go like pick up the new DVD. It's like one I knew I didn't want to just go rent. Like I wanted to go buy this movie, so I saved up $30 or whatever to go get it. So it's like you had a more of an appreciation for the movies you were picking out at that point. Now it's like, 5 minutes into this movie sucks, skip.
Well, that's all.
Rotten Tomatoes gave it a Rotten Tomato. No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean that does kind of suck. But, the point I was going to bring up was too, like what Sam was talking about was there's so much access to watch content now, like trailers. Like when a movie came out when we were younger, Do you ever remember seeing a movie with having 5 teasers and then a regular trailer? It's like, no, you don't see that shit because people want to hype it up and get all people example. It's like you either saw the trailer like, wow, that looks good, I'm gonna go see it, and that's all you knew about it. That's how I kind of like going in the dark nowadays about stuff without ruining it. Going and look at Rotten Tomatoes and all this shit. It's like I'd rather go see it for myself because guess what? I might like it and you might hate it. Whatever. That's the point of having a movie, like that kind of stuff.
2 scenarios. Okay, so you would have your movie trailers on back when we were younger
Right.
in the 90s. And then it'd be like, okay, convince the parents to go take you to see a movie. So they're like, oh, go get the paper. Because it's like, we'll look up movie showings in the paper.
Yeah, no, that's funny you
or
say that.
we're
yeah.
just going to go to the
Shit,
theater.
paper. I forgot about that.
Or if we're not looking at the paper, it's just like, let's just go up to the theater and see what is playing and just try to catch the closest movie time to when we went up
Right.
there.
Right.
Like there
Because
was.
because back in the day, you couldn't call their phone. You had to look in the paper for movie times. Totally forgot about that. That's fucking funny. But yeah, like I wish, and we've talked about this, I think, in last podcast. I can't wait for the day that some type of movie store opens back up where you can go pick up movies. Because I've told my wife and other people this. It's like, how long do we ever get on Netflix or like Hulu and all these places now? And like, you just can't find movies.
you
right?
spend more time looking for something than watching.
I saw some
something.
I was
comedian-
talking about this with my wife and my son. And
Yeah.
I was just like, little Jimmy.
Yeah, little Jimmy, I know him.
Like little
He's
Jimmy.
a little prick. But yeah,
he's
anyway.
got a little prick too.
Yeah, I think
Jesus,
like
fucking
father, like
Christ.
son.
He's got cancer. He's got leukemia.
Yeah,
Talking about his little prick.
Well, I mean, you gave it to him, so.
You guys are
Genetically, you
Yeah.
passed it on.
sick. You guys
Yeah.
are fucking sick.
Yeah,
I
you're-
don't really have kids.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying was, it's like, I want that nostalgic feel.
Thank
going
God,
back,
my
back
poor wife.
Going back to looking at movies and picking out movies because I feel like it's ruined nowadays. And literally, there's
Ruined. It's
yeah.
ruined.
Well,
yeah,
so-
ruined.
Ruined.
Go ahead.
But to finish what I was saying, though, there was a comedian not too long ago that came out. I can't remember his name. He made fun of how him and his wife would be like, "Oh, you want to watch a movie?" And it's like going to like ask your wife, "Where do you want to go to dinner tonight?" or whatever. What do you want to watch on Hulu or Netflix? He's like, an hour into the thing, he's like, "Just pick a fucking movie," because I'm so sick of looking at the same shit and reading the same thing over and over again.
Right.
I don't care at this point. It's like you would think with this much access to movies, it should be easy to find like these underground or good movies are coming out. Which is why Netflix and I feel like Hulu are making their own spin-off, or even Amazon.
But there's still these like low production, like low budget movies.
It's
that
like
people
made
are
for
producing.
TV.
Yeah,
it's
that-
made for streaming.
I don't know how
yeah,
that are
however
still
you
just
wanna
getting
say it.
pumped out. So it's just like you get those. There are good gems out there, but they get lost among the goddamn trash.
Well, so interestingly, I maybe around a year ago, I was reading an article that was talking about this exact subject. People are getting fed up with the streaming services. Like it hit like a ton of bricks when it came about. People's minds were blown. You could get like, like complete series streamed off of Netflix. Like
It's a convenience factor.
People were
That's all
losing
it
their
is.
shit.
yeah, I
But,
could
like-
sit there and veg out on a season, like
Right.
a new season.
Right.
Yeah,
Which is-
it was a new concept.
I'm not going to say before you make into your point, it's like I do appreciate that because there is times where
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
when like HBO comes out with New Westworld or whatever, like I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched the second season because I want to veg out and watch like 7 episodes
I'm
in a
doing
row.
the same.
right. Yeah.
I kind of enjoy that better than just watching and waiting every week.
Yeah.
If
But-
they would actually let you pay more money and say Westworld season 2 is coming out, I bared people if like if you got to pay $200, some dumbass would pay $200 to watch the entire season before it got released. That'd be a good way to make money.
yeah.
So anyway, back to your point.
Well, yeah. So point being, people actually miss, going and physically, holding the box a movie came in and looking through all the sections and that kind of thing. And so there is like some call for like the brick and mortar video store to make a comeback. Like, for example, Blockbuster, people think is not around anymore. They've maintained around 50 stores around the country.
Well, yeah, in locations like Alaska and places where people
Right.
aren't getting internet service, or if they are, it's not to the level where they can stream.
Sure, and like you still have your family videos. Those have stuck around and stuff, but like
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
There's still that one down off of Mexico.
yeah, that survived throughout the decades. But
Is that because of porno?
Yeah, because they have a wicked porno section for real.
Well, there's one in Alaska too. It's the only. It's like the last blockbuster. Alive.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, Randy. Thanks for coming in and repeating things.
Yeah, you're welcome. But anyway, like it is cool
just
because there is
joking.
places that are rural. I can't speak right now. That don't have like strong internet access. So like
Right.
for them to get movies, that's how they still get them. Which, to be honest, I wish the streaming service would like die off for a little while so I could go back to get movies and games and shit the way I used to get them.
Well, yeah, so that's what they were saying, though, is like there's a actual call for brick and mortar stores where you can get rent videos and games again. Like,
I
that's
remember there
what
used to be that
people
family
want
video
now.
that was still around and it just literally just like died. It used to be off of like somewhere not too long ago, but it's not even there anymore. But I used to like that and shit, so I don't know. But yeah,
Family video.
it would be cool. I think it'd be a cool thing, and maybe it's something people need to like. I don't know how you'd advertise over the stuff because
If not in a decade, 2 decades, I swear to you,
everything
there will
comes
be,
back. Well, it's like what people say. There's a saying. It's like everything makes a loop and comes back in 20 years. So I feel like with that, it would be the same type of feeling and stuff.
as long as there's still record stores. Come
Right.
on, they're gonna go back to as long as there's still a physical format to watch something. That would be the only thing, is if they ever upgraded out, I guess, past Blu-ray, and then they decide to just go pure
It's all
digital.
yeah. Which may
if
be the
they're-
direction they're going.
Which,
Well, I mean,
if
when
they did that, and there's no turning back.
When fiber gets actually put in people's houses everywhere, and they can do actual stream 4K content, that's like what they're trying to like the field they're trying to get to is what I've heard.
Well, then that will definitely shoot down the brick and mortar idea in the future. But I like it. I'm a fan of. I would love to spend a fucking Friday night again, looking at new releases physically in the store and picking up boxes and reading synopsis, and not just literally flicking through everything in Netflix 3 times. And it's just like, I don't know. I get Netflix fatigue.
Right, and
I
at
do
that
too.
point, you just don't even want to watch shit.
Right. I'll
know.
spend more time looking for something, and then I don't find anything.
I go on Netflix, Hulu, and fucking Amazon. I'm like, you know what? And I see the same movies and the same shit, and it's like, well, are they only licensed and allowed to like certain movies because you can't get certain content? But at the same point in time, what I'm trying to get to is like, I'd rather on a Friday night go like out with like my girlfriend or my wife and go like to dinner and then go afterwards and go rent a movie back then go and just have to go in the movie theater, which is fine. I like going to the movie theater. I miss doing that kind of stuff. So anyway,
So do you go with your girlfriend and your wife, or is the girlfriend separate and unknown?
no, they're both because I'm polygamy and my religion, and I have multiple wives and girlfriends, and it's acceptable.
You're a polygamist.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the same group I am. I don't know why you're acting like you know what I'm talking about.
Elder Randall. Elder Randall and Elder Samuel.
So,
We'll be knocking on a door near you. Sell our religion.
So yeah, but I think it's gonna
Come on down, get a couple wives.
I think it's gonna wrap up the podcast while Sim's trying to break his microphone over here. So
Oh, I was going the wrong way. It's just off.
You idiot. You fucking dipshit.
I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast.
I hope
and,
you didn't. I hope you go fuck yourselves.
You're always so much negative press. Yeah, all two of you out there, fuck you.
Right. Yeah, go smash that like button.
Yeah, I go smash your sister. So we'll talk to you and see you guys next time.
Maybe.